Nothing in this recording is intended as investment advice, and the people in this recording may hold positions in the companies they talk about. Do not make any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to Zach's Traders Cafe. Today I'm joined by Adrian Kinkaid, who's CEO at Fusion Antibodies. How are you today, Adrian?
Hi, Zach. Very nice to be back with you.
Very nice to speak to you again as well. I think the first thing, which is always important with FAB, as your ticker code is to explain to people what you do.
Yeah, so FAB is Fusion Antibodies PLC. So we are a CRO, a contract research organization working with antibodies. We cover discovery of novel antibodies, new antibodies against different targets. We do engineering of those on the genetic level so that we can make them the best possible antibody that they can be. And then we do supply up to the point of stable cell lines. So we don't go into what they call GMP, which is the manufacture of the final product at scale. So the reason why our customers like to use antibodies, they're basically nature's gift in terms of doing molecular recognition, which makes them very specific to certain targets, be they proteins or other elements. They've effectively evolved to bind to proteins on, say, viruses, which might infect us. Been used as therapeutics very much to great effect, especially in cancer, but also inflammation. So they're used as therapeutics. They're also a principal component of a lot of diagnostics. We'll all be far too familiar with the lateral flow tests from the pandemic. Those little red lines are produced by having antibodies present. So they're immensely useful. So our clients come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, from fresh biotechs through to big pharma. And they also include, increasingly so, diagnostic companies and veterinary medicine. And even some organizations who are using antibodies or selling antibodies as research reagents to do fundamental research. So immensely valuable reagents, and we can do an awful lot with them.
You've been working away over recent months and the news flow started to accelerate, but where are you particularly at the moment on your timeline?
Yeah, so the marketplace, as many of our investors will know, has been difficult, to say the least. There's been a reduction in the amount of money going into our clients' coffers. So some of the progress has been stalled with a number of those. That's had an impact on us, the same as pretty much everybody in our sector of the business. So we've adapted to that. You've got to cut your cloth accordingly. We've done all of that. We've cut our costs. We're focused on building the business back up according to the opportunities available. I'm delighted to say that those opportunities are growing, both in terms of numbers, but also in terms of value overall. So the opportunities pipeline is significantly more than it has been. And we're seeing a steady trend towards recovery of the marketplace, which is excellent news for all of our clients and, of course, for us as well.
Yeah, the thing, I suppose, which was noticeable just a week or so ago was there was a spike in your shares. Does that suggest that the market's waiting for you to deliver like a big deal with a big name?
Well, the spike in the shares was almost certainly due to our announcement of an agreement with the National Cancer Institutes in the US as part of the National Institutes of Health. They're a very well-funded expert organization who are focused on cancer therapeutics. And the agreement is to cover them working with and validating our flagship platform, Optimal, which is of tremendous interest to them, but obviously also tremendous interest to us and our investors. Optimal is a groundbreaking platform. There's no equivalent out there already. It's got three sort of principal benefits to Optimal. First of all, the platform displays what we call fully intact IgG molecules. In other words, the intact antibody, the final product, as it were, that you're looking for. So if you can begin with the end in mind, which is very much a fusion philosophy, you'll get better results. So having the fully intact antibody makes the whole screening process and development process a lot easier, a lot more accurate, much less attrition, much less loss of affinity as you build, because it's already the final format. Those antibodies, for the second benefit, are expressed in mammalian cells already. And given that the manufacture of antibodies pretty much exclusively uses mammalian cells, knowing that they will be expressed in an active form in mammalian cells is a requirement. So doing so in the first instance also reduces attrition, makes it much more rapid to develop. And then finally, the real key with what makes Optimal particularly different from other forms of mammalian display is that the actual library that we're using, which is proprietary to Fusion, is made using the human repertoire, and it's vast. It's approximately 10 to the 42. So that's a 1 with 42 zeros after it in terms of size, which is mind-blowingly huge. Obviously, we don't sample all of that. When we run a campaign, we might do 10 to the 8 or 10 to the 9. So maybe 1 billion sequences, maybe 100 million sequences. So we're never exhausting the library of possibilities, which means that we can also keep on going back to that library, sampling different sequences and throwing novel targets at it. So it's a phenomenal technology. It's one of the key reasons as to why I joined Fusion, to see this come through development into reality. So partnering or working with the NCI to validate that platform is absolutely brilliant news for us. It is a real milestone in making that a reality. We couldn't really wish for a better partner. Like I say, the NCI are really expert. They are expert in mammalian display as well, really know what they're talking about. And on a more commercial basis, they also happen to be based in our #1 geographical marketplace. So with all the kudos they have, their geographical location, their influence, their standing, we couldn't have wished for a better partner really for this.
Well, I think that's the point there. I mean, apart from the validation of Optimal, the validation of you as a company and what you're doing from the US federal government's principal agency for cancer research and training. I mean, that is a big deal even at this stage.
Yeah, we are absolutely delighted, as you can imagine, still buzzing from the news. Obviously, we've been working on it for a while, making sure that we've got everything agreed and it works for both parties, to both benefit of both parties. So yes, it's major news, and we're absolutely delighted.
And I suppose I can say it, but maybe you can't. If everything goes well, it will be a company maker for Fusion antibodies.
Yes, it's not the only thing that we have. It's not the only thing that we're working with. There are other discovery platforms that we're working on, but as I said earlier, it's our flagship. It combines different technologies, both that mammalian display and what we might call the Opti library, to get that huge diversity based on the human repertoire. So it is phenomenally good. As a CEO, of course, I have to look at possibility that it might not work out the way we all wish, despite all of the signs. And I'm comfortable that we can take the individual parts and use those anyway. So we'll be pursuing multiple threads going forward. Optimal is, to my mind, the most significant one. But I think any of my colleagues, as it were, in competitor CRO organizations like Fusion, they would be delighted to just have one of the platforms that we have available at Fusion. Really, really pleased, yes.
So you're not just a one-trick pony. You've got plenty of other, say, tricks up your sleeve, or whatever the analogy is.
Yeah, there's many ways to skin a cat. There's many ways to make antibodies. Our customers also, have that choice to go after the technologies that they think is most appropriate for them. We can offer now 4. Quite soon, we would hope 5 different platforms for doing antibody discovery. Some will suit certain targets and certain requirements better than others, and also budgets. So by offering such a range of groundbreaking and cutting edge technologies. We cover the maximum basis. It also improves our credibility because we're not just trying to sell one particular platform. We can offer the best tool to our client to suit that particular project and the needs that they have.
And in terms of 2024, you're looking forward to that with confidence?
Yes, the headwinds are still against us. They're still against the whole market. It's going to be tough, which is why we're working as hard as we are. And everybody needs a little bit of luck. But as they say, the harder you work, the more luck you make. So that's what we're doing. We're very focused on making the business successful, getting in those contracts, bringing them through. The pipeline of opportunities, as I mentioned earlier, is looking remarkably good. So we should be seeing those moving through, even if they're moving more slowly than they would have done previously. We're starting to see the signs now of some of those starting to thaw out, as it were. Maybe the smaller ones start to move more readily than the bigger ones, but the general trend is more movement in the pipeline, more movement in the marketplace. So yes, the prospects are good, and I'm looking forward to getting back to where we deserve to be, the sector being back to where it deserves to be, great therapeutics being developed, diagnostics enabling earlier detection of diseases to enable those therapeutics to be applied more readily with better effect for mankind. And also animal kind, with, of course, the veterinary medicine applications there as well.
On that upbeat note, Adrian Kinkaid, CEO of Fusion Antibodies, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Zach. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.